Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, December 7th, and this is Nadex Morning Analysis. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. I've got with me Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Before we jump into a little bit of analysis and summary of what we saw over the weekend and what to look forward to this week, I do need to show this. Trading does involve risk and may not be appropriate for everyone. Any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is very important. This is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. All right, so with that, I think the big news today, and I think we're going to be hearing about it this week, Brexit is right up against a wall here. I know they're trying to do some last-ditch efforts, and it's having some impact in the foreign exchange markets. Brian, you want to kick us off here with
Yeah,
what's
sure.
going on in Brexit?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of one of those things where you get down a dark path. You keep you click one thing and there's another thing and another thing and another thing. And right now, all the hottest news is based off of Brexit. One of them in here talks about it that it's been 4 years, 5 months, and like 12 days or something like that since the original kind of piece of it. So we're literally right up against the wall, as you can see over here. The EU sees Wednesday as the cutoff day for Brexit. Kind of a big deal. But some of the quotes this morning, and again, I'll show you why this is important in the charts in a second. But it's interesting to see kind of both sides of the negotiation. You're seeing the Financial Services Commissioner, McGuinness, on Brexit. It's not looking good. The UK is failing to understand the need for compromise. But yet, minutes later, he says, in our last hours, we're optimistic on a Northern Irish issues can be fixed. Meanwhile, that's in a response to Johnson. If I click the next one over here, Johnson is talking about that the EU refuses to budge on their outrageous demands. So it's always interesting to see two sides of the equation here, where one side is saying, hey, listen, you guys need to be flexible. And the other side says, your demands are outrageous, right? We are at the very, very end. But as you can see, 4 years, 5 months, and 14 days of negotiation, and we're really in the end game of things. The UK has come back right now and says that the UK rules out continuing EU talks next year. They are prepared right now. They're prepared for the hard exit. Not that that's what the market wants, but at this point, that's what may happen. If companies and things like that in the UK are not prepared for this, I don't know. I mean, they've had 4 years to prepare for this hard exit, and like I said, I feel like in this situation, both sides have a bit of an ego. They kind of feel that, hey, listen, our side is more important. We're good to go. But again, now it seems, and it's very interesting, the biggest, I guess, issue that they're having right now, or the biggest, I guess, antagonist to the talks is actually France. Yet France was the last one to kind of reach out and give the olive branch. So it's kind of interesting to see how it's playing out. But we're also seeing some problems out of the EU in general. We're seeing, Spain having some major problems now. So again, it's not like the EU is speaking from a position of power. If we flip over to the charts, the reason I'm bringing this up is because the euro pound is really kind of the battleground, right? The battleground currency, looking at both of these pairs. Now, typically, and I've talked about this, any type of agreement for Brexit, with a trade talk coming to agreement, I said would be a huge pound kind of pop, right? And again, this is the euro pound. So this going up basically means that we have pound weakness. When we get that pound strength coming in, that will drive this pair back down again. Now, a lot of the news is already kind of fast and furious come out. This is a 4-hour chart, so it's a little bit higher of a time frame. I don't typically talk about 4-hour charts in the morning briefing, but we just actually bounced off of one. We've moved about 20 pips down to the downside at this point. The reason this is important is because we're very, very early in the week. There are weekly call spreads out there. There are weekly binaries out there. There may even be some knockouts, but again, knockouts, we need to be a bit careful because that punch through the top side. Now, if we look at it on a daily level, you can see we are kind of in that upper quadrant that we talk about being an area where we want to get short. Last time price was up here, and I can go back on the 4-hour and actually see it. Whoops. This was a pretty big strike back to the downside. Let me take that off. You guys can see last time price rallied up, very, very strong movement. So it's an area where sellers have stepped in. Again, large extended range candle based off of statement this morning about a hard exit, and we're not scared of the hard exit. And then the EU trying to play negotiator and be like, well, we're optimistic. We think we can do something, but we have 2 days. Everybody is saying 2 days, and even the EU says we feel that Wednesday is the final day for discussions. So we're in the last 48 hours.
Just in just in time processing is what it is.
Yeah,
So let's
exactly.
go ahead and
I said
do.
they would wait till the last moment, and we're at the last moment.
It's like my kids doing their homework.
Hmm.
Let's jump over to the Nadex platform and take a quick peek at how you might want to be able to play that. You mentioned knockouts. Here you can see that I've got the 9130 level on there, and there's some knockouts. Again, remember with knockouts, everything is defined risk, defined reward. So if you were playing this for a rollover and it started to roll over a little bit, uh, there is a knockout in here. There you could take a look at it. Again, defined risk, defined reward. It does give you a little bit of a room in case it punches through. I want to jump over to call spreads quickly because we do have the call spread. So we're going to jump over the euro pound and take a look at the weekly. Again, you mentioned weekly because it's something that, and there we go. I mean, there's call spreads in this range. Remember, with a call spread, you go through your level, you're not knocked out, but there is a premium associated with trading that, and you could take a look at some of these different call spreads. There might be something that's interesting in there. And then the last thing, just because
And the other thing too, I just want to add in the call spreads as well. We see it kind of pulling back right now, and again, this is the banter back and forth. This may be something to watch, and this may be something we can trade tomorrow as it pulls closer to the top of that call spread. The reason being is, again, they're bantering back and forth. We saw a really negative reaction. Then we saw kind of a retracement of that, kind of the emotional response. Well,
Yep.
tomorrow's Tuesday. Tomorrow's not Wednesday. Everybody's saying that the cutoff is Wednesday. And again, it does not seem like they want to get this done before the deadline. They want to wait to the very last moment.
Of
So
course.
bad news tomorrow could give us another push higher, which could, again, lower the risk on that trade. And again, that's one way to kind of help manage your risk is wait for the pullbacks into an area instead of kind of chase it. It's already moved a little bit. And again, that's just, Monday morning banter back and forth between Johnson and everybody else. So,
well, it's giving a little bit of volatility into that market.
Definitely.
There's opportunity when there's price action. Let's flip over. The other thing that we're also kind of watching, let's talk about what's going on a little bit closer to home. Stimulus talks are still stalled in Congress. People are waiting to see how that's going to pan out. We've got COVID cases blowing through the roof. We've got lockdowns going on in different parts of the country. Let's take a look over in some of the U.S. equity markets and just take a peek into there on
Sure.
what you might think might be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Monday morning is always difficult. We kind of give this disclaimer this morning every Monday. Again, people are reacting to news over the weekend. I was just, you and I were just looking at the COVID numbers. We see California at all-time highs. Maryland hit all-time high yesterday. We're seeing a lot out there. I mean, all the positive news out there is great. Vaccines, we've had wonderful news about vaccines and percentages. I know Pfizer is now having some supply issues with it. They're not going to be able to deliver as many as we thought. The UK has licensed at least Pfizer there, and it seems like, I don't know if that's where they're going first, but it's obviously going to be a supply issue. So, the way to play this is going to be typically, again, see what the open looks like. There's a little bit of an area that we had last week, and again, actually this was, we closed right in this area, if you guys can see it, last week. And then we opened here on Sunday. We kind of pushed up and kind of put a little, again, what I would call a failure to go higher, kind of a candle up, a base, a drop, and then a test lower. So that's already kind of worked. But, we can see it up here in the 12,550-ish range. Again, sellers have stepped in there. So we know that somebody had to push this price back to the downside. Depending on what the open is, there's no real economic news today. Obviously, stimulus talks, but it's very rare that Congress ever gets anything done on a Monday. So I don't know that we're going to get any stimulus talk today. Again, they'll be drinking coffee today. They'll maybe talk about it tomorrow type situation. But if the news comes out and starts talking about even worse conditions with COVID, again, NQ will tend to rise a little bit on that, but then again, they'll probably parry it back down again. So really all three are in the same situation. The reason I pulled NQ is because we do have a level from Sunday night that was a decent level up here at that 12,550-ish. It is a little bit of a psychological level being a 50. And again, there may be a bit of a trap as this tries to punch higher and everybody says, oh, we're going all-time highs again. And then we kind of have a roll back over. So I'm kind of looking at the open, the 10 o'clock time frame, and seeing if we can get another one of these positions kind of put in. But something that's, very small risk today because, at any
Yep.
moment they could come out with a headline statement and boom, it
And
explodes.
it could pop. Right. Anything. I like how you say Congress won't do anything on a Monday. I think that
Probably not. Probably
I
not.
think that tends to be the case for any day that ends in Y.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's
Right now, yeah, absolutely.
let's jump over to the Nadex platform. Because you want. This is one of those ones where is it going to hit new highs? Are we going to roll over when we hit this 12,550 level again? It might be a little bit more interesting to play these with binary options, or this market, the NQ, with binary options. Again, they're $100 contracts, and the probabilities, we've got strike prices and probability levels for any type of quick movement. So we got the cash equities opening in 20 minutes. It's definitely something to kind of keep your eye on, see how things open, and there might be something to do potentially with some of these binaries.
Yeah. And I'll just add in
The
there too,
NASDAQ.
the S&P and the Dow also have levels similar to that. And if today, this morning is a heavy COVID record-breaking number day, you will typically see more of a decline in the S&P and the Dow, and that could be beneficial for the NQ. So they all three have very similar charts though.
And that actually is an important note, right? As COVID has certainly impacted the Dow Jones and compared to the Nasdaq quite differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean technology versus industrials and services.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And
all right.
So gold, too, guys. I'm gonna throw this in there real quick. I didn't tell Todd about this one. Gold, guys, is in that same level we talked about last week as well. That may be worth taking a look today because obviously with no stimulus talk, gold could be a mover as well. So jump over there and check that one out as well. I just found that one.
And I love it. Throw a quick little one to take a look at. All right. If you're got any questions for Nadex, please reach out to us, customer service at nadex.com. Follow us on social media, particularly our YouTube channel. Know that Brian and I are doing this every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. And we do have them lined up through the rest of the week. If you subscribe to the Nadex YouTube channel, which you can do below, you can find our upcoming streams. You can even set reminders to remind you. If you have any questions for Brian, you can reach him at support@keeptradingsimple.com. So please feel free to email Brian there. With that, I'd like to thank you for joining us this morning. Let's get at it. We got a new week. Equity markets open in 17 minutes. Let's see what the day's got in hold for us. Good luck in the markets, everyone. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks.